Hey, how you doing? It's Chuck at On Point Holsters. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make an outside the waist holster for the Glock 19. So the mold that I have, this holster will fit a Gen 3, Gen 4, and Gen 5. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So here we have a mold. This is a Glock 19 Gen 5 mold that I got from Multi Molds. You can get these online. So the Gen 5, like I said, the Gen 4 and Gen 3 will fit in the same exact holster. So what's nice about making the 5 is that the 5 has the release on both sides. So if the customer has a 4 and gets a new 5, then the same holster will work. So what else do we need? I need 2 black 8x8 Kydex. Then I have my infamous blue tape. And then I have this here widget that I'm going to use to create the place for retention on this holster. So the first thing I want to do is put that on. And I put this on here, and you'll see later in the holster, this is going to create the place for me to put the retention screw, because I like to be able to have adjustable retention on all my holsters, and the customers like it too, right? Some people like to have their guns nice and tight in their holsters, some people don't, so it just allows them to adjust the retention. So I just put one thin coat over that, and then like every other holster builder, I'm going to put 5 coats of tape on the side here. And what this does is it creates the space so the gun won't drag on the Kydex. So now what I like to do is cut off the extra on the ends here, on both ends. And then I want to cut this just so I get a better crisp, definition off the holster once this goes into the press. And then just do the same thing for the other side. It's pretty simple. Today I'm showing you how to do this outside the waist holster actually with a mold, and you could do this right to a gun too if you have it. But a lot of holster makers, to include myself, are going to vacuum press molds. So I do have a vacuum press mold for the Glock 19, but the problem is that on the vacuum presses, it's either right hand or left hand, and this particular customer wants a left-handed holster, so I only have the vacuum mold currently for the right hand. So I have to make this to a mold, which is okay because it's going to come out just as good. It just takes a little bit more time, with mold prep, like I'm doing here, to prep this mold. So, that's it. So I'm going to take you over and I'll show you the heat press. I have it heating up right now. My heat press heats to 400 degrees. And then I'll show you the vacuum press. So this is my heat press. It's heating up right now. I have it set at 400 degrees, 80 seconds. I put in my 2-piece of Kydex with the good side facing down, and then I have this so it doesn't burn the Kydex. And then once I heat up the Kydex, I'll go ahead and put it into the vacuum press. The heat, it's almost set. I'm going to turn on the vacuum press. Once the Kydex is done, the alarm will go off. And then I put one piece on the bottom. then I put the, remember it's left-handed, right? Put the left-handed Glock 19 in there. Then I put on the other piece of Kydex. Then what I do is turn it. I'll open the vacuum air. And then boom. And then I just kind of use my fingers, make sure there's no creases or indents. All this doesn't matter because I'm going to cut it off. So. Alright, so we'll let that cool down and then we'll take it back to the bench. Okay, so here it is off the vacuum press. Came out nice. You can see the nice detail in it, right? And then with that jig that I have on the vacuum press, it puts the automatically puts the curve in there for the hip. So that's going to be nice for the outside the waist holster. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it up to cut it. So I use this as a template for both to make the holster. So I do it on both sides because that gives me enough room to put the screws and then also put the belt loops and whatever I choose to put on the sides. And then I'll just cut out the bottom here. So when I do the top, I gotta make sure that I leave enough room for the grip. What I'll do right here, and then I usually just turn it a little bit. So then what I'll do is I'll use this to make sure that it's straight across. I'll just mark on both sides. So that way there, I make sure the holster is on the same way. It will come across like that. So now it's all marked up. I told you I had the retention piece in there, and I'll go ahead and mark it now. I use one of the washers that I use, and I'll mark it now because I'll drill it later. So now let me go ahead and cut this out, and then I'll be back to the table. Okay, so here it is cut out. Now I need to drill the holes before I cut the rest of it. So I use this jig that I bought on knifekits.com because it has the correct spacing already for all the belt loops that I use. And then I'll just line it up with the pencil marks on both sides. And then depending on the size of the gun will depend how many holes that I actually put. So for the bigger guns, I want to have it on there tighter. So as you see, there's 5 holes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. So I don't want it to go all the way down to the end, but I'll go ahead and do the 3, and that way there I can just cover this up. So it'll be 4 holes right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I use this 1/4 inch bit and just drill them out. And then I use this countersink just to clean up the holes, to clean all the rough Kydex edges. So some people might ask, well, how do I make this if I don't have the vacuum press? So I have another press, and I'll show you in a bit what it looks like. But it's just a couple boards, and I'll press it flat. And then afterwards, I'll have to heat it up and create a curve. So now I'm going to put this on there, but I need to make sure that the holes are lined up. Otherwise, it's not going to be. And I just use this for the straight edge. And then I'll put the Kydex on there, and then I'll cut the 4 holes just like I did on the other side. So now I like to take off these sharp corners, and I'll just use a straight edge, and then I'll usually mark them an inch, inch and a quarter.
Can you have for me? This one?
Let me go cut it and I'll be right back. Okay, so there it is. I grind it a little bit off because I like to round it off in the bottom. Now it's all set here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull it apart. And then I'm going to make these two cuts here, and then I'll put it together and I'll be back in a second. So now that I have the top piece cut out, I want to put it back together. I use a couple of these to hold it together, and then I'm going to go ahead and mark it because I want to make sure that when I cut the back piece that it's the same. And then on this particular holster, it does have the sweat guard, and the sweat guard is just the plastic. I'm going to leave it on there. So the sweat guard is going to come up, and then the same thing here. So let me go ahead and cut that out, and then we'll get it back together. So also we have the retention screw here that I put when we mark that. So I'll put that. I'll drill that out so that's already there, and I'll go ahead and cut this out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is all cleaned up. The holes are drilled out, everything fits. I sand all my edges, as you can see, and then I polish them so they're all smooth edges. So now I'm going to go ahead and go put it together. The customer ordered 1.5 inch loops. So I'll go ahead and put it together, and then I'll show you the final product. Remember, if you got any questions, just put it down in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you. So here it is. It's a left-handed outside the waist holster for a Glock 19 with 1.5 inch belt loops. I buy all my supplies online, either through knife kits or through a couple other sites. So nice fit. You can adjust the retention right there. Yeah. So if you got any questions, like I said, put them in the bottom. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like it, and then please visit our website. We're going to make, if you want a specific holster made or you've got questions, just drop it down below and we'll do our best to make a video on that. We're going to continuously produce videos and trying to help the community grow and educate people on how to make holsters. It's just something we enjoy doing. Thanks, and have a great weekend.